maker, and I was having so much fun looking at what Charlie was building, the toys that he was doing, and I was recognizing how it really applied to a project that I'm involved in. What's going on, as you probably know, in the nation, there's a big effort toward open data initiatives. Originally started at the Clinton White House. It's been going on in earnest ever since, and it will continue. But the big challenge we have is the data of the nation is just so overwhelming that it is just huge. So what has been happening is they've been carving off little sections. And you probably recognize one little section that's called the green button. The federal government has given it a brand. The green button is now the smart grid as it's converting our energy infrastructure. And you might recognize it because you now have smart meters on your houses. And where before it told you had 30 watts this month, now it's telling you exactly how you use the 30 watts. And what's interesting about that is the government established what the data set is for the smart meter, which means it doesn't matter where you are, whether it's Con Edison or PG&E, that meter will come out with the exact same data set. And what the green button did is it then went out to the developer community and said, okay, do something with this data set. And now there's over 150 apps that have been developed that'll analyze energy usage. Now, for most people in this room, it'll tell us to run our dishwasher at night. But if you're a commercial application or a big one, these applications are huge and are having huge impacts on the way our nation's energy infrastructure is being developed and designed. Right behind that is a project that I'm involved in. It too has got a button. It's called the orange button. It's being funded by the Department of Energy. And here what they're trying to do is create the data analytics for solar and clean energy to try to make it to be more bankable. And one of the things that I've looked at, again, there's a huge spectrum of people that are involved in the energy space. But if you look at one simple thing, a solar system. A solar system is going to perform, and if you enter into a contract that says, I promise to deliver you 1,000 watts, and you only delivered 900, that's a problem. If you delivered more than 1,000, it's good. So just like the green button, we're looking out into the developer community to say, all right, who can build apps that would allow us in the financial world to visualize and to work with and do data analytics on what is an overwhelming amount of data. You know, the big data of energy is absolutely stunning in how many places it touches. So Wells Fargo, and what I do is I write guarantees on contracts. So I write the guarantee on how a solar system is performing. Knowing how it's performing is going to be very valuable to me as I develop new products, and more importantly, the better my information, the better my intel, and the more a Salesforce app can create data analytics and give me something, the more likely we can provide better financial terms, therefore making solar more attractive and a better investment. So when you think about a solar system, you have a bank financing it, you have a utility, you have the surety company, you have the contractor, you have the developer, you have a group of people who are all working on basically the same information. So what I was able to get out of Wells Fargo was a grant for $50,000, and it's split two ways. One, we're going to try to come up with an app that tells us what we can analyze. And what we're using here is a group called the IEC. It's an international standards rating body in which has been working on solar data analytics. They have a data set that they're working on. And before it can be finalized, the industry has to have consensus around it. So the orange button is around the consensus of around the whole energy space. I am focused on just this one, a solar system performance report based on the IEC. It's a spreadsheet, and it basically says this was supposed to do 1,000 watts, and then every month it'll send out a report, it did this. So you can imagine on a single one-by-one case, I can do that in an Excel spreadsheet, I can just look at it. But at Wells Fargo, we'll have 100,000 different systems out there. It needs to be portfolio managed. The challenge is that every system that's out there currently provides a report on how it's doing, but it reports it in different formats in different ways. So the whole push for data analytics is to get a standardized set of data. So the orange button has got that leverage, it's what it's doing. And so what we're doing now is trying to encourage the developer community and through the universities and educational experience to see if they can't come up with that killer app that allows us to analyze how solar systems are performing. So when you got introduced, or when I was introduced, Dan mentioned he was an associate of mine. He was my enabler. I would go into him and I said, look, I'd like to have a database that tells me how contracts are performing. and he would come right out and give it to me. And I'd say, well, I'd like to have a common application for all my different insurance companies and different needs. He actually wrote one for me. And that was, we were thinking about 12 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. And we did it with the university, because in order to get anybody to adopt it, it has to be neutral. So we did it up at Chico. We called it the Chico Common App, and we started working with insurance companies and contractors about how to have a common app. And that's what you see here is the Chico Common App. And all you do is you enter in information, and Dan made it so he mapped it to the XML standards, and it can create an output that would just simply be an email attachment. So we're just going to replicate that very same thing at the orange button. We're going to look for somebody to put together an application that can take in 61724 data, do a little bit of analyzing, let it get kicked out from the system, and ultimately get to other stakeholders. The stakeholder community is huge. So I don't know who you're looking for or who you might be looking to as clients, but if it's going to be in the banking industry, the energy industry, the insurance industry, the construction industry, these are all people who are going to be involved in building the grid, which is estimated at $900 billion. The orange button is going to have a national platform as the nation tries to figure out how to get from here to there. And so our contest is basically, if you can come up with a Salesforce app and put it on the App Exchange, that would allow all our insurance partners and bank partners to start the process of being able to exchange just that first part of information on the energy deal. There's going to be chapters and chapters after this, and there's going to be data sets galore after this. This is just really a first pilot one. And what we've basically done is paid for the formal adoption of the standards in the federal XBRL standard, that's for reporting from the government. But once we have that data set, what good is it if nobody uses it? So the idea here is to create a catalyst of use by having something very easy, something tactile, something that immediately produces value, which of course would be a Salesforce app that an insurance company, bank, and all the rest could then start to exchange information, be able to analyze it, and probably retain your company for maybe more services or do something internally. But it should be great visibility, it should be great networking. At the end of the day, what we ask though, that anybody who submits to the contest, which has a $25,000 prize, and I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but here's our website address, and if you're interested at all, I would go there. I'm going to leave some cards at the table here by the cards. You can call me afterwards. It's all on the web, all the information. But at the end of the day, what we're really looking for on the commercial side is people who've got an application, lots of bells and whistles and otherwise, will just park a little one over here on the Salesforce App Exchange. It'll introduce anybody to your services, introduce them to your company. But more than that, if we can get a couple of apps in there and get people working in it, and get the insurance companies and the banks all starting to see something work, I think it'll be a real catalyst to something going on, just like the green button did. And now you've got 150 apps. I don't know where this will go, but it should go someplace. And so Wells Fargo has offered to fund it. University of California, Chico has offered to step up. We're trying to put a data interoperability center up there. The one constraint we have on commercial is that this is a philanthropic side of Wells Fargo, so we cannot give any money to commercial interests. However, the university is willing to hook up with anybody to bring them onto our campus, associate, and you'll be accessible to the prize money through there. And we have different prizes. I won't go to there. I got 7 minutes. Hopefully I attracted a little bit of curiosity, and if you have any interest at all, my card will be here, my email, my website is there. We'd love to have some action, and we'd love to have you part of it, and thank you very much.